Are you on the edge of your seat?
Because we're about to sound off with Kevin Williams.
On today's latest trends in location-based entertainment.
Brought to you by the LBX Collective.
Your community to connect, engage, and inspire.
Alrighty, everyone. Let's buckle up.
Hi, gang. Welcome to episode number 51. As always, today we're going to be diving into the latest trends in business and technology in the entertainment space. But let's get things kicked off here with change my mind.
Yeah,
What do you have for us?
It's that mind change again, 51. Really, for me, is there too many chain stores in our sector? Now, when I say chain stores, I mean, chains of the larger groups. We have a wide number of openings of new independents, if you follow the open and shut segment that we're doing, but also at the same time, we're seeing the established chains rolling out quite a large number. Our friends at Dave & Buster's, our friends at Bolero, our friends at IALPA, they're all rolling out more and more chains. And, I have the infamous not Dave & Buster's, Blockbusters, and the infamous Toys R Us as an example of, you can roll out as many facilities as you want, but if they're not generating profit, then you're going to be ending up with a big yellow sign outside the front of your facility. And I'm just wondering, is there a critical mass to the number of chains we can adopt per operation in this sector? Or is it the more the merrier? I don't know, guys. Your opinions?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, saturation always scares me. I always worry, even when you look at territories and your distance away from competitors, where should you be placing yourself? New people come on the scene and they don't care about that. They just want to get their product in the market. And so then you're competing against, cinemas and McDonald's restaurants, for entertainment. So it's I feel like we're going to get to a point where everything is going to be super saturated really quickly here and something's going to have to fall off. Yeah.
If you look at what's happening in the Texas from the recent opens and shuts that we've reported on, Texas is saturated soy brand.
No, I think you're absolutely right with Texas. Houston is the next big area. Katy there's only so much space in Katy. There's almost so much population as well to support this many different types of entertainment venues. I think where I get concerned is not as much with the corporate brands, the Dave & Buster's, the Main Events, the Chuck E. Cheese's of the world. It's on them to really manage the number of locations they have and where their potential oversaturation points are. Where I get really concerned is with the large franchise groups, specifically in the active entertainment space with trampoline parks, where they're more focused on opening new franchisees and less concerned about whether or not there's actually been a feasibility study done or an oversaturation, or there's not an urban air in this market. I'm not saying this market, I'm just saying in a generic market, quote unquote, in this market, but maybe there's 3 sky zones. So can they really come in and support an urban air? And not to pick on those two, but they're the 2 largest trampoline park chains out there. And so that's my concern, because it's at the end of the day, it's not the franchisor who is ultimately going to suffer as a result of that oversaturation. It is the small business owner who is the franchisee that is going to have that yellow sign on the front. And by the way, probably a bankruptcy and a bunch of other stuff that they're going to have to deal with in their life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the bankruptcy, and from the franchisor's point of view, they'll always find another sucker to take the equipment at a loss, even though they don't usually transfer the loss over.
As P.T. Barnum says, right? There's a sucker born every minute, and franchisees are looking for that big opportunity, and they see a quote unquote gap. And so what do? They go to the franchisee. The franchisee says, oh yeah, you could totally put one there. It would do great. And then they drop one in, and then it fails because of oversaturation.
Mm-hmm.
And sadly, they don't know that it's oversaturation because they're brand new noobs to the rubes, if we're going to use the P.T. Barnum analogy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think too, though, one of the things is you can go into a market and look and see what's happening at that current point in time, but you also have to be insightful about what else is coming on the scene. What is coming up? What are the trends going to be? Where is this industry going to head? And what are the risks involved, right? With like, who else is going to come and put a place up? What does availability look like in your space? So you really need to protect yourself that way.
Well, and is your model far, like looking far enough in the future to what you're putting in as well? If you're putting in something that's done really well for the last 10, 15 years, you have to question about whether or not it's going to actually do well in the upcoming 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, your audience changes, you better change.
Yeah. And your audience, they get saturated with what they like. Like maybe bowling is really cool for 10 years, but then people are kind of done with bowling. And if bowling doesn't change or do something new, I don't know, like glow bowling. I mean, that doesn't even cut it. You have to look at changing out those attractions because consumer preferences change and they want different things over the decades.
Yeah,
I
and
would be really mindful about opening up a mini golf unless you're opening up the latest technology approach to mini golf. I'm sorry, Brandon, again.
Oh no, I think you're 100% accurate there. And even things with bowling and let's use roller skating as well. Things are cyclical. So bowling is back and it is hot again, and there is some new technology there. Roller skating is also hot, but you also aren't seeing 4,000 or 5,000 square foot floors going in anymore. You're seeing 2,000 square foot floors with multiple attractions going in. So it is one of many attractions. So even roller skating and some of these others have evolved to be more social entertainment focused and than that particular attraction.
Oh, well. This is one we're going to be revisiting again, and it's very very apposite about what we're going to talk about. But before we get into that,
all right, let's hear from Intercard. Intercard is the only cashless system designed, developed, and manufactured all under one roof. They introduced cashless technology to the amusement industry and have been leading the way for over 30 years. Cashless systems from Intercard increase customer spending, guest satisfaction, and boost revenues by up to 30%. Intercard is so proud to be serving the amusement industry, and if you aren't already part of their global family of customers, they hope you will become one soon. All right, Kevin, take us away.
Thank you, Intercard. So, trending, let's jump straight into the big trending. And recently I've been running on the Friends of the Stinger Report Facebook forum page, which is a public page, so you don't have to be a member. You can walk past, throw litter, and then move on. But the couple of not memes, but slides we've been dumping in, just collecting some of the information that is being pulled from the industry. And one of those was the expected 2028 growth rate for the location-based sector, which was in the 9 to 10 billion dollar range. And then at the same time, we had another report from another analytic operation looking at location-based VR and coming up with a $30 billion number for 2030. I have problems with all of these. They are wet fingers in the air. They are speculation. You never see down speculation unless something serious is happening. It's always super positive, super over the top, and they hope that the crystal ball that they're using, no one's going to come back in 5, 4, 3 years time and hold them to that. It's a free piece of information, and they claim that they're basing that on the available saturation numbers. But what I would like to say is, for all of the fluff and froth of these numbers, it is clear that a lot of people in the investment community are looking at location-based entertainment and social entertainment as a major growth opportunity in the next couple of years. And I would argue that while we're not talking about staycation anymore, we are still looking at more regional entertainment profiting rather than the international larger theme parks. I point to the drop in numbers that Disney has seen in its attendance. Though that said, I'm sure in Orlando with the openings next year, we will see an explosion of ticket attendance. But it's that bell curve that we need to be mindful of. And this growth in location-based entertainment is reflected in new development and new applications and new technology. And that leads us kind of on to the next subject. But before I jump into that, do you have any observations, guys, regarding the super numbers for 2030? We need that time machine so we can jump forward.
Yeah, I struggle with a $30 billion number for LBEVR.
Okay.
I think that's probably the bigger one. The general location-based entertainment growth, I think those numbers are potentially achievable. I mean, we're certainly seeing it when we look at the open and shut segments that you do on the LBX show. So I wouldn't be surprised seeing that type of year-over-year growth there. I just struggle with the LBEVR. I think that number is too high, because I think we are going to see more things like COSM really driving and those types of immersive experiences, certainly. So if LBE XR or whatever, I think that potentially, but not VR.
I agree wholeheartedly. The XR, it's a typo on their part. I think they should have gone with XR rather than VR. VR was the zeitgeist maybe when they were writing that, but definitely the shared reality, non-headset projection or LED screen technology married to big IP. I could quite easily live with the $20 or $30 billion for 2030, but VR, no, really. Anyway, sorry, Christine.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to see what they're actually like. What did they include in the LBE? Like, I know what I would include in the LBE, but what have they actually truly included to get to that number, right? And the other thing that scares me right now when I look at this is that I think that there hasn't been a market. We haven't seen a recession. We haven't seen that kind of stuff happening in the U.S. market. And God, it's got to be due. Like at some point here in the future, something's got to happen. And I just wonder if we'll ever get to these numbers if something happens along the way here. I don't know. We've got a new government, interesting things happening. So,
new government and transition. We're also seeing a changing of the guard of a lot of retiring of certain executives in certain key positions. So we're due to see some shakeup, whether it will be drastic or whether it will help that number.
Fair.
Only the gods know. Anyway, moving on, and really where the people go to build their location-based entertainments and where the industry gathers to talk about the future of our sector. IALPA, from where we're recording this event, and I will be jumping on the international flight and meeting the team and walking the floor and even presenting this year. One of the things to be mindful of is that this is a transitional IALPA. We have come through the ravages of the lockdown. We're in a market that is in insurgence at the moment. If you listen to all of the venues that are opening up during the openings and shuts that I'm reporting on, we can see that a lot of equipment is being put into a lot of facilities and being operated. And that is a constant ongoing process. And be it a theme park or a water park or amusement facility, they need to constantly be updating and refreshing the well. And IALPA is one of the key shows, I would say, one of the most important shows to meet and greet our sector, but also a very important show to see the latest trends and to get whiff of the latest zeitgeist that is shaping our industry. And from my perspective, I've tried to break them down into the key areas that I'm going to be focusing on the show floor this year. And jumping straight on, the immersive technology is a big feather in my cap, or should I say a quiver, an arrow in our quiver. The latest technology is projection maps. We've seen this with the go-karting. We're now seeing the interactive floor technologies for the active entertainment floor and walls, both using projection as well as digital LED screens. And one of the important things to bear in mind about this technology, it isn't just about the projection or the screen technology. It is also about the content creation. And, along with the hardware, we've got to think about the software and the media creation that will run in parallel with this. And I expect to be looking at the latest screen tech and projection tech on the show floor that will help bolster these systems. The new trends in the amusement. I've already touched upon the new wave crane machines. we're going to see a lot of new prize machines that are much more eye-catching, much more illuminated, much more storefront suitable, and there to be populated with high-quality merch. We've got a lot of new video amusement being released. Adam has done a really good rundown in Arcade Heroes about some of the new releases that we're expecting to see at IALPA, but I can say that from his rundown, that's only a tenth of the new releases that we can expect. And we're seeing some trends. We're seeing the return of the gun games. We're seeing the return of the universal cabinets, or the environment cabinets, the big boxes with a big screen and two-player mobile seat kind of arrangements. We're also seeing virtual reality, and we're seeing the progression of virtual reality from VR to MR, mixed reality. So the VR systems that we're familiar with, they've had their gestational period. Now we're into next generation systems. So free roaming, we're going to be inundated with free roaming VR platforms at the show. We're also going to be seeing some new adaptations on the amusement VR system, the standalone approach. A couple of interesting IPs are going to be parachuted into the VR side. Adam has already broken the news about Kung Fu Panda being turned into a VR experience, standalone, stand-up VR experience. And there will be a couple of other big IP, Angry Birds, to name just a few, that will be getting that treatment. Then active entertainment or sportstainment. I saw sportstainment being pushed very heavily by some financial heads recently as the buzzword, trying to pivot away from active entertainment. I prefer active entertainment, but these are the physical, highly physical gamified, digital media-based experiences that we're seeing out there. They're popular for the younger players as a kind of alternative to the trampoline sector and the ninja mazes, but they're also being parachuted into the social entertainment environment. Nothing better than having a few drinks with your friends while trying to play a game of Twister digitally. But, it is that who plays together stays together mentality, and be prepared to see a lot of active entertainment systems migrating across both the fun center and the amusement center scene. And then finally, social entertainment. That is the bullywig that I keep on going on about, the mixture of booze and gaming, the social, the replacement to the bar and pub. I've seen this described by some media. It is not just a flash in the pan now, but social entertainment, competitive socializing is a major part of our business now. We cannot hide from that. And IALPA will be the recipient of a number of new releases, especially in the gamified mini golf scene. We've got a couple of corporations that are showing their latest versions and making announcements about partnerships and distributor agreements to make sure that this part of the sector still continues to grow. Have I touched on anything that's tickled you guys?
Well, I mean, all of it. So certainly we'll be going we'll be spending lots of time on the show floor, checking these things out. I know that, on the Outback show, Christine's going to be talking a little bit about Remarkable and some of the things that are coming out of the, the mini golf side of things. So certainly social entertainment is something we're going to take a look at. One of the things I'll be interested to see is, are we going to continue to see evolution on the immersive enclosure space, or are we really going to just see some of the same players? Have they really done some new things to, I think that's one that I'm going to be keeping an eye on.
I just heard about the launch of a immersive enclosure that is designed on a elevator approach, where people go in and the screens surround them as if they're in an elevator with the motion floor. That is an old concept that was done with projectors, now being done with the latest LED screen. So again, going back to what you were saying, Brandon, maybe the technology will be the improvement, but the base concept will stay the same. Mm-hmm. Fundamentally, technology has to prove its revenue generating capability, and we're still at the early days where immersive enclosures have proven themselves as major ROI.
Mm-hmm.
For all of you guys that are coming to the convention and want to be bored senseless, I'm doing two presentations. Well, one core presentation with Bob Cooney, talking about the VR, XR side of the business. It's going to be a laid back but backwards and forwards look at the XR scene from an IALPA perspective. And then I'm taking part in a panel session at the FEC lunch. And again, I'm with you, Brandon, on that one.
Looking forward to it.
Yes. Let's hope we're not too hungover.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's at least at lunch, so that's good.
Let's hope that we're not too hungry. No.
Yeah.
Anyway, I touched upon this in the openings and charts. One of the surprise closings, well, not surprise closings, but finally, it's admitted was the Bear Grylls adventure. For you guys that are not familiar with Bear Grylls, he's one of those individuals that you kick out of a helicopter in the middle of the desert, and him and a camera crew and a Winnebago, and they stagger off into the distance, and he proves that he can drink his own urine and survive and all of that, and how to live off the land. He was very popular about 10 years ago on television and certain streaming services, and Merlin Entertainment decided to open up a location-based entertainment concept based on aspects of his performance, if you pardon the pun. So it was more of an active entertainment environment that actually included a petting zoo. So some of the animals that he had actually had experiences with, I think tarantulas and certain types of mongoose and stuff like that were part of this experience. So you had the zip line, you had the jungle gyms, you had the parachute jumping out the back of the mock-up helicopter. You even had a little bit of media-based entertainment, all in quite a large FEC package. Opened its doors, we went round it, and a lot of us went, no way. This, they fundamentally were breaking certain rules of how you do an entertainment facility, and it was a little bit problematic in places, but that was a personal opinion. And Merlin Entertainment, being the vast combine that they are, we expected them to brush it and beat it into shape and then roll it out, because at that point in time the IP, the Bear Grylls IP, was very strong. Well, it took 6 years to die. They tried and they tried and they tried, and they only opened one facility, and it stayed only one facility. I feel their pain.
Where was it opened? Sorry.
This was Manchester. Sorry, Birmingham NEC. I do apologize.
Yeah. This was actually connected to it was like really connected to the NEC. I remember seeing it. Right. I never went in it, but I remember seeing it when I went to the Family Attraction Expo a handful of years ago. It had just opened, I think. It probably had just opened when I was there in 2019. So it might have been there. So.
Yeah, the NEC was trying to reinvigorate the space around the convention center. It's quite a large multiple convention center there, and Merlin Entertainment have property close by there, and so it seemed a no-brainer as a test flagship location. And that test flagship location failed to launch, as many do. Not everybody is a success. This is in a particular difficult one, because I think that Merlin kind of fell into a false narrative, a failed state, where they were putting in money even though it was obvious that the concept wasn't working. We saw something similar regarding IP related entertainment with Merlin, with the Darren Brown Ghost Train, where they again tried to overextend themselves with an entertainment concept with a popular personality, and the two just didn't gel or draw the interest. Sometimes it's better to have a non-IP entertainment facility, because it focuses you to think more about the experience than placating the ego of the big brands that you have facilitated with it. Wouldn't be surprised if we see something similar to this pop up again in the future, because active entertainment is hot, though hopefully people will learn the lessons from this particular one.
Yeah, sorry, just going back to that though quickly. Like, I mean, I've never heard of the Bear Grylls guy before. Like, is he still active? Is he still recording? Does he still do shows? Like, isn't
Oh,
that part of picking your IP? Okay, and then maybe it's just a UK thing, and
No, it's definitely not a UK thing. I mean, so he's
he's
super popular here in the US. It may not be a Canadian
Wow.
thing, but 100%, if you know, especially if you're a guy, like you would know who Bear Grylls is. Now, is it going to be a reason to fly to London and then take a train up to Birmingham or something like that? Like, probably not. Like, is it going to be a draw to Birmingham? I don't know what is, unless you have to go there. And I apologize if you're from there, but anyway, so I think you were hitting on something though. I think it's important is picking IP that has longevity, and this is why a Peppa Pig or a Peanuts or or Looney
Angry
Tunes or
Birds.
DC or Marvel or Angry Birds, like, what are we doing? Well, these are cartoons. These are things that can be reinvented and reinvigorated over time, and people can come back to and have nostalgia. Nobody has nostalgia about a Bear Grylls show. They just remember, yeah, that dude was kind of cool, kind of crazy.
I remember.
That's it.
I remember him. He did this. Would be the most you could hope for from that. I am very scared of using personalities for IP for entertainment venues. Try and avoid the Bill Cosby syndrome, which is a popular entertainer is still a human being, and things can happen in their past to bite your IP in the butt, where it's very doubtful that Peppa Pig has a selection of Pornhub videos that we don't know about.
Yeah, I bet you there's some AI generated stuff out
That
there.
could be very interesting.
But I think even on some other stuff, like the Ninja Kids action parks. And so we've talked about Ninja Kids and some of those things. Well, those kids are going to grow up and they're going to move on. And what do you do now with this thing that's doing really well right now? But when you no longer have a YouTube channel because your kids have just grown up, how does that, like, where does that longevity really happen? And so then, maybe you rebrand and reinvent yourself, and that's fine. And you just start trying to capture the sizzle of the moment. But those are things you should be thinking about when it comes to IP.
Well,
building your own IP is better because at least you can
Control
reinvigorate your IP rather than being held hostage by bananas in pajamas losing its interest. Sorry, Kristen.
Yeah. And I was just going to say, like, back at Brendan, I think you already mentioned this, is that if you are going to use this kind of IP and this is your first iteration of it, please put it someplace where there's like high population density and people can easily travel to this location to even give it a fighting chance, right?
Well, we're not quite sure whether it was put into this particular location because it was being tested. So they didn't want their dirty laundry fully exposed to the rigors. I'm not sure if that's accurate, but sadly, 6 years on, a lot of the history regarding this project is blown away, which I'm sure Merlin feels very happy about. And all I care about is that Merlin was doing the right thing by ensuring that the majority of their staff are being relocated into businesses that are close by because of Merlin's operations in that area. Anyway, I want to watch to see if we see Bear Grylls appear again with his new lemonade supply. Going back to really looking at the classics and an IP that has generated much interest. Tetris is celebrating its 40th anniversary. I actually have personal links to Tetris. I worked for Andromeda, which is the company that brought Tetris from Russia into the Western world. I'm famous as being one of the guys that turned around and said I couldn't really see the appeal of Tetris when we started playing it. So me and the guy that turned down the Beatles shared the same charabang. But Tetris has become quite a phenomenon now as a merchandising and as an iconic brand in its own right, as well as a game. We must remember that Tetris had a life in the arcades, both released by Atari and by Sega in Japan, and it has a life in the location-based entertainment sector because, behold, Outernet. Outernet is a kind of a digital gallery that is in central London. Much more than a gallery. It's used as a branding and promotional facility, but it uses the latest high-resolution LED screens to create an immersive environment. And they have created an interactive game for 6 players. was it six? Yeah. So 6 players walk in, well, more than 6 players. You hold your smartphone up, you scan the QR code, the game selects 6 of those scanned QR codes, and you play Tetris on your smartphone while looking at it on the giant, huge, vast screen. From the videos, it's very interesting. It's very compelling, and it's free. So yet again, here we are looking at entertainment, interactive, gamified, location-based, that is eating into our business indirectly or directly. You know, I'm sure many a amusement venue would love to have something like this. The PR reel for this particular marketing promotion was saying that this is the largest interactive multiplayer Tetris game ever. I would argue that the projection mapped version of Tetris that was played on the side of one of the Tokyo buildings a few years back would beat that, but I don't want to be that guy, so I will just nod and smile and say, this is great. It's good for Tetris as a promotional tool. It's good for immersive entertainment and immersive enclosures, but it's also a missed opportunity for us, and I hope that maybe some of us in the industry will be able to jump on this and maybe get a taste of the cheddar from this brand IP. Classic games are hot, as we were saying in the last sound off. Interesting cinema related information. You know, our friends at IMAX saw some really strong numbers, even in the face of a downturn in ticket sales across certain other venues. You know, IMAX benefited from, of course, the Oppenheimer bounce, as it were. You know, a lot of people wanted to see a number of the latest releases, the Deadpool, Oppenheimer, and I'm not sure people wanted to see Barbie in IMAX, but you know, anyway, the big screen presentation has worked well for them, given them a boost, and also raised the flag again for them to look at redeveloping and reappropriating their brand. The last time that they were in this position, of course, we had them test the waters by developing the IMAX VR arcade concept, which only lasted a few months and failed dismally. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see IMAX again look at that social entertainment, look at what operations such as COSM are doing with their social entertainment, big screen experiences, and maybe jump on the bandwagon there. And then the branding and the partnerships are taking hold. Fun Labs again, they seem to be popping up as much as gender is when I'm doing my sound offs. The interesting thing here, Fun Labs based in Australia, they've done a deal across their 47 facilities to utilize Coca-Cola. So they partnered with the Coca-Cola operation, and that will be the drink of choice in their facilities. We normally see theme parks go for this kind of partnership. So for social entertainment venues to now strike up relationships with key F&B brands kind of shows how popular this sector has become. And I wouldn't be surprised that while this is the Oceanic or the Australian partnership, that we don't see that kind of reciprocated with some of the big chains in the Western market. Looking at the tech, we've touched upon a lot of the tech in the IALPA rundown, but some ones that have popped up early before the doors throw themselves open in Orlando. Night Heron, brand new startup in the market, started by a couple of ex-individuals from the Void concept, the free roaming VR experience. They have decided to develop a upright VR system called Lynx. We had news of this prior to Amusement Expo back in March. It was actually shown in secret during the Amusement Expo show. It's been on test for some time. It is an example of IP over technology. It is going to be shown in all of its glory in Orlando. You know, the DreamWorks Kung Fu Panda IP is a popular one, and the game builds very heavily on the dojo kind of slapstick approach here. I put a picture of our friends at VR Arsenal's upright VR system from 6 or 7 years ago, which was first done with Beat Saber and then done with the Lightsaber Dojo, as a kind of watch this space approach, which is this kind of development or deployment of VR still viable? Can the IP carry this product into the market successfully, or is it now a point where the market has moved on and this kind of VR Gen 2 approach to the market is not as hot as it used to be? I don't want to put the kibosh on this product early. I've heard the reports on its ROI while it's been on test. I understand that they've done some redevelopment to that and they've removed the redemption component that originally was going to be part of this product. Thankfully, someone told them that children of that age that want redemption tickets don't usually put virtual reality headsets on. And if they do, they usually leave them in bits on the floor. Personal opinion. The issue is now how this will be received by the market in Orlando compared to what other Gen 4 and 5 VR products and XR products are on the show floor there in competition. VR still being pushed very heavily. Sega and their partnership with the Chinese IALPA and 3Mindwave development operation out there. They produced their VR agent game a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, I think, where rather than it being a full head-mounted display, you were holding a gun to your face, and the visor or display showing the virtual environment was attached to that. They've taken that concept one step further. You have the gun, you have the visor. Now you're sitting on a motion seat going through a motion experience. Sega has doubled down on this. They don't normally have a large virtual reality presence on their product lineup. They usually have third-party products, but this is them taking another stab at the VR approach, and it will be interesting again to see how the market reacts to this kind of approach in comparison to the other kinds of systems we have, which are more conventional, such as the success that Raw Thrills has been seeing with their Godzilla fighting kaiju VR experience. And then an interesting one, not going to appear on many people's radars, but us pedants, us individuals that monitor the industry way too much for our health, are very closely involved in still keeping an eye on the Japanese amusement sector. And surprise, surprise, the amusement industry in Japan decides to hold its big show of the year a couple of days before IALPA in North America. The Japanese amusement industry will be the Japanese amusement industry. We can go into a long story about why they've decided to move their show from February to November, and why they feel that they want to dominate a particular territory themselves rather than have people from other sectors come in. I'm not going to touch that with a barge pole. Anyway, a couple of days after the recording of this, the show will be taking place, but thanks to our friends in Japan, they've given us, a lowdown of the key releases there. This show's relatively small. There's only about 50 odd exhibitors there, but the Japanese island business is quite strong and also has impact into the Chinese market. Gender, as always, Geico, get into the game Oasis, have a couple of interesting things. They have migrated or pivoted. Well, no, I wouldn't say pivoted. They've expanded their operation from just being facility operation to actually developing their own product. And they've been tentatively doing that. They did a boxing game or test your boxing strength video game interpretation. They've also been doing some smaller kiddie-based stuff through their Vietnamese children's chain. And for their facilities, their ever-growing number of facilities, they're experimenting with an upright arcade machine that is kind of a makeathon or hackathon kind of approach, where indie game developers can create their own game and then download it onto the onto the app. The app then is curated, and the game can then be played on one of the amusement machines located in one of their facilities, their creators arcade machines out there. It's at a reasonable price. These are mini games, and this is a great way to find a hit. So you're giving a blank piece of paper to creators to allow them to talk to your audience, which is a good thing. And who knows, the next Tetris could soon be populating one of these machines. God, if we had that kind of capability when we were getting Tetris into the Western market, it would be a totally different story. And again, I hope that that kind of hackathon mentality will get us to see some unique and original content created for this platform. A big pat on the back to the guys there for this kind of approach. I like to get the community involved in your business. Konami, well-known name from the day, still has major presence in the consumer game sector, still has major presence in the Japanese amusement operations as well as manufacturing, though they are focused wholly on their core audience. That said, we, Adam at Arcade Heroes, did see a couple of Konami amusement pieces being tested in the Western market. Sadly, these systems that will be shown at the Japanese show won't be making the round over there yet. We have a B-Mania, Beat Mania music system, the latest iterations of this. These are one that allows you to play the guitar in the Beat Mania, Simon Says, kind of approach. And then there's another one that has a drum kit with the same kind of approach. These machines can be networked together so you can play as a band. And they're very popular. They're in their 11th or 12th series of product. Konami's also come out with a new pusher, and Konami's also come out with a new medal game. And what we mean by medal games is token play gaming kind of system. Konami also has a very strong esports operation and runs an esports team, as does Agenda. So it's part of supporting the community of not just releasing machines, not just operating facilities, but also supporting athlete players. Sega, not as much new releases from them. They have an update of their initial D driving game, which would be popular if it was released in the Western market, but will never see the light of day. They've licensed IP. They've got their hands on the Paw Patrol IP, and they've created a kids ride based on that. And they've also developed a new app for their UFO machines, unidentified furry object, crane-style machines that are the bee's knees out in Japan. This particular app also allows you to customize your winnings and actually also go for automated play. So it's marrying the live play machines with the physical crane machines, as well as new game features to customize the experience. And then Bandai Namco, they're rolling out 2 new videos at the Japanese show. I think they're actually rolling out 3, but we'll have to wait and see. The long-awaited Goldstorm Pirates, which is a environment cabinet. Some of you will be familiar with the Deadstorm Pirates as operators, which was a very popular environment cabinet machine. What we mean by environment is you're closed off. It's the emotion seat, a big screen, and you're sucked into the experience. That is a trend that we're going to be seeing a lot of at IALPA. Of a number of manufacturers are going to be shipping over environment cabinet style shooting game experiences. LAI, Bandai Namco America, and also you could kind of say that the new Sega VR game is a kind of environment cabinet, big sucker that sits in your facility and takes a lot of real estate. This one's an interesting one because I think this game, while it's being launched in Japan, will be also pushed heavily in the Western market as well, reconfigured for the Western needs. And that's one of the last times we're actually getting to still see the influence of the Japanese amusement sector on the Western amusement sector. They also have Bike Dash Delivery, which is a pedal while controlling your character making deliveries. Deliveroo without the lawsuits and the vehicular manslaughter problems. A game that I think, if handled right, could make Western landfall, but we're not sure if it will. And then finally, Taito, an operator of amusement facilities in Japan, but also still rolling out product. They have a partnership with Capcom, and they are going to be releasing the arcade version of the latest Street Fighter game. A game I think would work very well in the Western market, but because of the intransigence of the Japanese to exporting and dealing with the distributors in the Western market, I doubt it will actually make landfall, other than maybe a selected number of round ones. They have a brand new crane machine, which I'm led to believe is a unique interpretation of the crane machine approach for the Japanese market and could have Western appeal. But again, we will have to wait and see. And they also have their own immersive enclosure products that they've been developing for their new Taito Station entertainment facilities. I will make sure in the Stinger report to give a little bit more background regarding that, but I don't want this to go on too long. A little bit of my history has suddenly appeared. I worked on Disney Quest, which was a chain of location-based entertainment facilities back in the 90s. We were successful with one facility, but failed with the other facilities. But we had a number of unique attractions within that space. And one of the unique attractions was a bumper car system that had ball launching. Very unique concept, very popular. Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blaster, and one of the machines is now going to be donated to the Roller Coaster Museum, so it will live forever as an exhibit there. So I now feel very old. The projects that I've been working on are now being turned into museum components. Anyway, that's me zooming through the information for the sound off before I jump on the plane. Anything jump out at you guys?
You know, I just think I think the big thing that jumps out is the Japanese market is a very different market, and I now recognize and understand why while I scoffed at the Amusement Expo running 2 days before the IALPA Expo actually starts, I now recognize the need for them to really have a separate dedicated Amusement Expo for their machines. It is very much a different market.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They are territorially different. What I keep a very close eye on the Japanese market, not because I think the products they're releasing are going to be viable for what we need, but they give a flavor or a taste of possible opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They definitely speak a different language. I love the idea of more game cabinets coming that are all inclusive, like Dead Storm Pirates. Like that was one of my favorite games when I first got into the industry. I was just like mind boggled by it. It was just such a cool experience. So I love Gold Storm Pirates. I hope that rolls out into the US, Canadian markets, and I hope we see more of it. Even though they're super big, they're just one of those experiences that you just want to do over and over again.
Yeah.
I played, so LAI has just licensed one of those environment cabinet games called Monster Hunter 3. I think they're rebranding it a different name, but it is that enclosure. You're sitting with a mounted gun, you're playing the game, there's mini game moments. It's very very enjoyable, and it reminded me of, as it was, the Dead Storm Pirates, as well as all of the other Sega games that kind of originated this environment cabinet. Sadly, the environment cabinet sector dissipated because the prices went skyrocketing for these equipments, and they became less and less environment. And it was sadly the House of the Dead, the last of the House of the Dead's products, that just took the mick too much, that operators just threw their hands up and didn't want to supply them. I'm hoping that environment cabinets come back into their own. They're the trend for video amusement at IALPA, and they will be reflected again what we see at Amusement Expo. And I can tell you that audiences of all ages like playing these games. Yeah,
absolutely. Awesome. Well, Kevin, it's been an excellent Sound Off 51, and we're going to see you in a couple of days at the Expo. So looking forward to spending some time with you, walking the show floor, having some good breakfast, and and dinners and all sorts of other good stuff we're going to have there. So
looking forward to it.
And maybe a few gin and tonics.
A couple cocktails, just a couple.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Awesome. Well, thanks, Kevin. This has been Sound Off number 51. Everybody keep kicking ass.
Bye, guys.
Bye.